Welcome to Navigating Hope, your compass to health empowerment. I'm Dr. Jamie H.O.P.E, steering you through healthcare, overcoming overwhelm, personal goals, and emergencies. We'll navigate the healthcare maze with actionable insights and real-world advice, unlocking the secrets to a healthier, more vibrant life. Join us to take control of your well-being and make informed decisions for your health and your future. Stay with us as we unravel the mysteries of medicine, wellness, and life's unforeseen challenges, helping you bypass the ER with a dose of knowledge. Stay tuned till the end of the episode with a recap of your actionable insights and a free gift. Let's chart a course to your well-being together. All right, welcome back to another episode of Navigating Hope. I am Dr. Jamie H.O.P.E. I am your host, and I am so excited to have this person with like broad education and skills, Jill Robin Payne, with more than 4 decades of experience. So she as a licensed psychotherapist, coach, speaker, brilliant mind. I mean, we're talking equine therapy, we're talking communication and conflict skills, relationship skills, and a really fascinating thing called Bempathy, which she's going to explain to us. Jill, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, Jamie, thank you for having me. And you made me feel so good that, that giving people compliments for everybody out there hits the pleasure region of the brain, which is just like you gave me $100 bill or some chocolate, which I love. So thank you. That was awesome.
Hey, I'm with chocolate also.
I love chocolate too.
Yes, and well-deserved kudos. I've seen you on YouTube. I've seen you on the news, on other podcasts and things. And what you bring to the table is very important. And that's why I'm so excited for our audience to hear about it.
Well, and thank you for having me to do this. I really do want to get Bempathy out there. People are going, what in the heck is Bempathy? So way back when we were just getting on the internet and just starting doing less face-to-face and more digital, I said, you know what? I think we're going to need more empathy. And when I talk about empathy, I talk about cognitive empathy and emotional empathy. And so people think, oh, it's all emotional. No, no, no. You just need to understand the other person's where they're coming from and where they've been. And so Bempathy I put together because you definitely need to banter, which is chit chat. Do you know in the Wall Street Journal, I was just on another podcast, and this researcher with a PhD finally came up with research stating that chit chat is very good and helps your brain synchronize with the other person automatically. So we're not doing enough chit chat. We're doing I'm right, you're wrong, black and white thinking, and we need to just do some bantering. So I put this together, which is banter with empathy, which is Bempathy. And that's how I came up with it.
I like that distinction as well, because you don't always have to agree with everybody.
Nope.
And having that banter, that kind of the back and forth, it's very stimulating and very interesting to hear other people's position. Right. So you're not saying we all need to convince people of our positions, which, as you've seen on the internet, that never works. But even if we don't ultimately end up agreeing with them, if we kind of understand them, cognitively, right, emotionally, all those things, is that the kind of thing that's going to help get better communication?
Right. And Bempathy is a 3-step process. So I've simplified it for people. People think right away when you talk to someone, you've got to think of, I've got to say something to that person. Have you ever heard silence is golden? It's said for a reason, right? Okay, you're being silent right now and it is golden. And when you talk, it also is golden. And so the first step in Bempathy is to have empathy. So you're going to start with empathy and then you respond with banter and you focus on the win-win. So when the whole time I'm talking to you, and I'm sure you're doing this automatically, we want this to be a win-win. If I'm not having a good time, you're not going to have a good time and vice versa. So that is pretty much what Bempathy is. And I can give you an example. I want you to talk though, because if I do all the talking, it's not.
No, you're the guest. No, I want you to talk. But I like the concept of win-win and defining what is a win. So if my only definition of win is convincing you that my way is the highway, my way or the highway, like mine is the only one that's right, I might consider that a win, but you don't. And that's not a win-win. So what would be, as we dive into this and you teach us examples, like how would we define a win?
And that is a wonderful question. So in society and life and with people, everything is perception. Life is perception. What do you perceive of it? It could be raining outside, Jamie, and I could say, "Gosh, that is beautiful." And you could go, "Joe, what are you talking about? That is so dreary. I'm so depressed." Who's right? So that's where we're going with the win-win. You want that person to perceive that they are getting something out of this positively from the conversation. So if I'm talking to my husband and right, and I want to win and I'm right, you're wrong, well, then we're not going to be getting along very well. So I want him to perceive, and people think this is manipulation and it's not. I want him to perceive he's king of the castle and then I'm queen of the castle. And that's how it works. And however it works for you, you'll know if that person's not giving faces, and then they didn't win. I mean, we need to be observant and empathetic of when we're talking to somebody, like you're smiling at me, so I'm aware of what you're doing. Yeah.
And those perceptions are helpful because
Yeah.
we can see each other. We can,
Right.
and you're a professional speaker that there's a huge difference between doing it on a Zoom to an audience or being in the audience and seeing that,
Oh,
the nods
yes.
and the facial expression.
Yes, yes,
And so
yes.
how do you think that our continued and increasing use of devices is
Right.
changing facial expression, is changing communication?
Well, they're doing studies of that now. I've got a niece that is a neuroscientist, and she was sending me something from Chapel Hill. They're going to start studying how this is going to be changing the brains. And people need to think about that, because let's just say that your brain is changing and then your spouse's brain has changed and then you have a baby together. That's going to cause a change in the brain. They've done studies. There's the snail study with RNA will show you that things are very much genetic, and it's something for us to watch. So to me, balance is key. I mean, I think that technology is wonderful. Having a cell phone, if you're in a car wreck and you can call someone to come help you, that's amazing. It's just we need to understand that physical touch is very important, and being with people physically is very important for us to live.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest keys that
Right.
we were never, the word social distancing, I said from day one was the wrong word.
Oh,
Physical distancing in a time of need. But so we need to
right,
be more socially connected than ever. And as
right.
much as I love sharing, like sending memes or silly videos to my friends,
Yes.
when we say LOL, we're not actually laughing out loud. We're just,
No, we're not.
we're stone faced kind of at home by
Right.
ourselves. And
Yes.
how is that changing
Right.
empathy and
Yes.
communication?
And you and I did a little chit chat before we started. And one of the reasons we did chit chat, and you sent me information, or your person sent me, I look up everybody that I talk with because I want to connect with you all. And if I go and I meet someone, I want to see, what do I have in common with that person? What is happening here is we are looking at confirmation bias. So when I am on the internet or wherever I am, their algorithms giving me stuff that I want to hear. So it's getting us to not only have a flatter affect because we're imitating the screen, it's also getting us to think, oh, well, our thoughts are fabulous because everybody's thinking our thoughts when they're not. So it's giving us a false bubble. Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
really
doing a
does
lot of things.
feed you
Yeah.
what you want to hear.
Of
It's
course.
that disconfirming information, and it becomes just an echo chamber.
Yes, it is. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes I like going on other people's devices just to see. Do you do the same thing?
Do, or I'll intentionally look up something that
Right.
might not be consistent because I want to hear if people believe it
Exactly.
and I'm not
Exactly.
familiar with it. Maybe
Right.
I just don't know enough about it. So why
Right.
not just ask some questions? I always like the saying, stay curious.
Right. And getting back to what you were saying about being on the internet and talking, just like we're doing right now, all I see is your beautiful face and yes, and your shoulders. And that's all I see. So if I'm doing therapy with you, I'm not doing therapy, but if I am, I don't see the whole body. You could be picking at your knee, you could be shaking your leg, right? You could be doing so many different things that I don't see and also feel. There's energy. We give off energy. So a lot is missing in the digital world. It is virtual for a reason. It's virtual. What does that mean? It means that it's not so much real. And so we need to have a balance, and that's what we need to be aware of. And I think when I talk to these young people, they go, Jill, I wish people would have told me that too much screen time, not social media, is changing my frontal lobe. I would be more aware of it. So I think we just need to educate people.
So too, because there are a
Yeah.
lot, we hear about some of the dangers of screen time. There are
Yeah.
benefits. There are,
Yes.
I have friends that I see more often this way
Yeah.
than in real life
Oh,
just because of logistics, but it helps maintain
yes.
that friendship. So there are
Right.
the good parts of it, but there's
Yes.
also the dangers, just like
Right.
anything, and understanding how
Exactly.
to best utilize it as a tool
Right.
makes a difference.
So this is how we can think of it. Too much exercise, too much eating, and too much sex, whether those are fun things, if you do too much of them, I promise you're going to have some pain. The problem is when we're doing social media, gaming, or just talking to people on the internet, we don't feel the pain. It's like high blood pressure. It's a silent killer of our social being. There you go. I just came up with that.
No,
So
that's
something to
fantastic.
think about.
And
Yeah.
those social skills, yeah, I see patients in the ER. They have very high
Right.
blood pressure. They don't feel it. They don't
Yes.
know until
No.
it starts causing damage to organs, until there's
Exactly.
secondary signs.
Exactly.
And so, what would
Yeah.
be some secondary signs that people are losing some social skills or some empathy
Right.
or empathy
Right.
with too much screen time? What would that look like?
So, you know what? What I have found is people will get more where they're isolating more and they're not as comfortable being in the real world. And when you're feeling a little bit, when you're feeling more uncomfortable in the real world, that's a sign saying that you need to force yourself to get out more. And so for you, and if I'm a parent or a partner or a friend, it would be if you see any slight behavioral difference or listen to the person's words and see what they're doing in their life. And there'll be some red flags that will tell you. Yeah.
And it's important to look out for those signs because social
Yes.
isolation is as dangerous as smoking and
Right.
any other type of dangers. Now, for people
Right.
who feel a little introverted or aren't sure,
Yes.
when you're younger and you're in school, high school, there's people right there, so it's easy to
Yes.
find friends. How do us adults go find
Right.
friends?
Yes. So right away, I tell people there's something that people can do that not only helps our society, it truly helps us. It gives us great endorphins by volunteering. Volunteer, get involved in your community, get involved in your churches or whatever type of religion you are. Find a cause. It's going to make you feel better. It's going to help society and you'll get out there physically and be with that person. And you don't even really have to talk to them very much if you're doing something physical, right? If I'm at the food bank, I'm just working on the food. And then you can say hi. You don't need to really banter very much.
And it
Right,
opens up that space where it's not, you're just
right,
staring at somebody. Because I imagine it a
right,
little bit like dating, but for those of us who
right.
are in a relationship, we're not trying to find another.
Yes,
That we just want to find
right,
a friend. We like that awkward, like
exactly.
staring at each other. Tell me about your life.
Right,
What do you do? Like, that's
right.
awkward. So I like this idea,
Hmm.
and then that kind of doing things in harmony gives us that oxytocin, gives us
Right,
that community feeling.
right, which is the connecting drug. And so the thing is, we're having these groups that I don't really belong to any of them online. They have these groups online. And so everybody's talking online. We need to belong in our communities. If you go look at I was talking to somebody from India and their parents came over here and they were saying that their parents are freaking out because there's nobody on the street. And in India, they're all over the place walking. And in Europe, they walk a lot. And so we need to get out more and be in our neighborhood. Go for a walk, say hi to people, get out there, see what good we can do face to face. And you may realize that it is more fun than being on Facebook or one of the groups on a chat.
It is. I was kind of, my husband asked me, I had gone out for a run and he said, how did you
Yes.
go? And I said, great, three. And he's like, wow, 3 miles. And I said, no, I petted three dogs. It was fantastic. Like, I'm not training for the Olympics. I just, that's one of the best things. Like, oh, someone's
Right.
walking their dog. I would cross a street to pet someone's dog. I'm not kidding.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
and then, you chit chat with them.
Right.
Oh, what kind of dog? People always want to talk about their pets. And so
Right.
that
Yeah.
was kind of a way that I have found to meet people in my neighborhood. And it's a lot of fun.
Right.
When I take
Yeah.
my dog outside, everybody wants to pet him because he's fluffy and adorable,
Right.
and you get those smiles and the hey neighbor, or and then
Right.
learn something about the neighbor, like, oh hey, did you hear about the lawn concert that's coming up, or I got this
Exactly.
company to take care of my poison ivy and they were great, just those kind of
Wow.
things you get from in real
Sure.
life interactions.
Right. And you're missing that if you don't do that. There you go. Yeah. And this is really what empathy is about. So when I talk about empathy, I'll get back to this morning. So my cat, who's 17 years old, one of the last of my trio, I save animals. I had a dog from the Fifth Ward, and then my first cat, and then Misty, who's at the vet right now. Anyway, I needed to go to the vet. I needed to meet you at 9 o'clock. I wanted my husband to be happy. He was going to take me. So I sat back and empathized. What could I do to make this whole situation work out? I got up a little bit earlier, fed my cat. In the interim, I got everything done. So empathy starts before you even open this mouth of yours. And look at the big picture. Even in my book, you have a situation, you step back and you stabilize. So it's everything we're talking about. So I want people to understand. And when they're watching your podcast, we're doing empathy. Yes.
And so I love how you step back and think, how can I
Right.
handle that situation? My
Right.
husband and I do this
Yes.
thing where we'll look at our schedule for the day or for the
Right.
week and say, okay,
Yes.
the kids need to be here, the facts, right? We have to be here and here. How can I help you? Oh, I can go to the grocery store because you don't have time,
Right.
just work that out. So I
Yes.
like how you step back. Let's step
Right.
back a little bit further. Jill,
Okay.
you're just like glowing with this empathy, with these feelings and how to do these communication skills.
Yeah.
How did you learn it in the first place? What is your origin that got you so excited about it?
Well, I'll tell you, I had some wonderful role models. My mom was, I would call a philanthropist. I mean, she did good deed for everyone. And she was a stay-at-home mom when moms could stay home more. And she had 4 kids. And my dad was an ophthalmologist. He's no longer here. And he even went to Africa to do a month of help for free to help write. So I had parents that loved people and taught me how people are very important and to find goodness in all people. You're going to have one or two that you're not going to get along with because they don't get it right, they don't get along with you, vice versa. And that's life. And so that's where it came to be. So I was raised that way. And plus genetics, right? We all have our gifts. Yeah.
And I like how you acknowledge that.
Yeah.
You're not going to get along with everybody. I used to think it
No.
was almost like a failure if I didn't get along with
Right.
somebody. And it's
Right.
not. Some people you're
Right.
just not going to agree with, right? Or
Exactly.
mesh well with. Well, and I teach my kids that in school too. You don't have to be friends with everyone, but you have to be
No.
friendly to everyone. That's
Ah, I love that. I say that word all the time. Friendly doesn't mean a friend.
yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it.
I love it.
And so when communication does get a little messy, or when people
Right.
don't necessarily understand where someone's coming from, what are some mistakes that you see people make so we can learn from that now, so we're ready for our next conversation?
I'll tell you right now, and I catch myself doing it too. Uh, so when things are going not your way, you do fight, flight, or freeze. So it depends. Some people just leave. I've had people in jobs just leave. They just walk out the door. So most people will tend to go this way and become forceful and want to push your point across. Do the opposite. Do the opposite. Step back. I tell people step back emotionally, physically, or both. If I'm with you, Jamie, and I literally was with you and I just stepped back like that, you'd feel the vacuum and you'd feel less pressure. This is more pressure. In Newton's law, if you force something, you're going to either push them away or you're going to get resistance. So the best thing to do is listen to physics. There you go.
That's fantastic too. Because yeah, I do see people kind of doing this
Oh yeah.
conflict in the head to head and
Yeah. Or run. Or
yeah,
run. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
And so it's fascinating looking sometimes doom scrolling through an argument where each person is all they're doing is just digging in harder because they have to be
Right.
more right.
Yes.
And it's a great example of what not to do.
Right. And one more thing,
Yeah.
just because you said the doom scrolling, that is something that it's innate in us. It's survival and it's negativity bias. So we're prone to do that. We're going to go rubberneck because we want to make sure it doesn't happen to us. If I'm in the forest, I use this example all the time, and there's a Big Mac to my right, and then over to my left is a bear, I'm going to focus on the beer so I can eat my Big Mac in a later time. There you go. So this is a natural thing. We need to be aware of it and focus on what we have in common in a positive way. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because regardless of all other things, religion,
Right.
national
Yes.
origin, we all have things in common.
Oh,
Things
of
like
course. Yeah.
certain gestures and smiles
Yes.
are
Right.
universal across
Right.
languages and
Yes.
cultures. So I like that. Find that.
Yes. And you're a medical doctor, so you know physically, not just emotionally. We have so many things in common, and well, not all of us. There's a very small percentage. Matter of fact, there's a movie, Novocaine, and it's a real thing. I knew it before because I worked in pain management. There's a very small percentage of people that don't feel pain and they die young. So most of us feel pain. We want to feel heard. We want to be appreciated. It's just right. We want to survive.
Yeah, all those normal things.
Right.
So let's talk about humor because you have such a
Yes.
lighthearted energy, and I
Oh, thank you.
bringing in that element of
Right.
humor into
Yes.
empathy and into
Right.
conversations. How does that help?
Well, it helps in empathy. There's something that's even more important, and it's TP. And I say it's not toilet paper, it's timing and position. So you may think something's funny, and that other person may not be in the right moment for you to say that. So you need to feel the person out when humor is the right thing. Do not make fun of people because that's not really humor. That's not humor for both parties. You want it to be humorous for both parties. So sometimes you can just say, gosh, I was out the other day and I was talking to a friend and they were saying how they left their zipper open. They were in the right, and you even feel it. They left their zipper open when they went to AT&T, and then they looked and they go, "Oh my gosh," and no one said anything. And then you both can giggle on it because you know how that would feel. So there's empathy, there's humor. There you go.
Yeah, and when I'm speaking, on a stage or even talking to patients,
Right,
depending on the right situation, I'm
right,
more than willing to share zipper down kind of stories about myself because I think it just helps
right,
people can relate and people can kind of laugh and realize
right.
we're all a lot more alike than we think we are.
Exactly. And it doesn't really make you look bad because it's something that we all make mistakes. And so it's important for us to know that. I have a lot of people that need to be perfect, and there's no one that's perfect. And then if I need to be perfect and then I want you to be perfect, that's going to put a lot of pressure on my friends and family and job. Right.
I'm glad that you brought up perfect because I think,
Yeah.
particularly with certain social media platforms, there's a lot of
Right.
pressure to look perfect. And then so you see
Right.
people, their picture there, and then you might see them on a different platform like LinkedIn. And you're like, this is the same person because we're trying so hard to put up that very false level of perfection. And
The filter.
yeah,
Yes,
you find
right.
that in
Right.
your people that you are coaching and counseling, do you find that
Right.
people
Yes.
struggle with that?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I think weren't they doing something with the likes? They were trying to get rid of the likes or something. Whoever devised, and there is something called Social Dilemma. It's a great DVD. Oh, have you seen it? I think it's on Netflix. Anyway, it's on and it tells you that they used people like me, psychotherapists, and people that did psychology to get people to be, quote, addicted to these devices. And we just need to understand that these devices are like a reward system and we need to be able to turn it off. And so that's one of our things that we can, now, don't they have like little timers and stuff that you can turn off your devices?
Oh, absolutely. I've
Right.
been at conferences where they say everybody put your phone in a basket Or going to
Right.
dinner with a group of friends and everyone has to put theirs in the middle face down.
Right.
Whoever picks up their phone first has to buy everyone's dinner.
There you go. And so that gets back to what you were saying. So the same thing in real life. If I'm talking to a family member or someone that is negative in my life, I let them know, gosh, I hope just a few minutes. Oh, that sounds great. I've got to go. And then the same thing on the internet. You got to go. Put a timer on it so that you don't listen to the negativity or see all these things that might not be real. If it's causing you harm, taking away from your life, I think you need to put a time limit on it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Healthy boundaries, right?
There
Around
you go.
people,
Yes.
around
Right.
around that. Because yeah, if you look at it
Right.
and you're scrolling through and you're like,
Right.
everybody is taking all these amazing trips and I'm not going anywhere. That's not making you feel good about yourself.
No.
That's
Right.
making you feel lesser than and trying to
Right.
compete, and that's not
Right.
healthy.
Yeah. I tell people compete against yourself and not even against, compete with yourself. What do you think about that? I just use it. I took against and I put with. That's how important words are. What is the difference to you? See, if I said against versus with, it seems smoother and calmer
Yeah, it's
and
like
at
a
peace.
collaboration versus a fight.
Exactly. And that's Bempathy. Bempathy is just that, it's collaboration. I cannot have a conversation by myself. Well, I can. I can't talk to myself. Matter of fact, in my book, I have it conversing with self. In the interim, we do need to end up talking to other people so we can have a life. So there you go. So it's exactly what I said.
Well, can we utilize these skills to talk to ourselves? Because there are many people that struggle with negative self-talk. They don't even need to hear it from social media,
Right.
doing it to themselves. So
Right.
how can we apply this internally?
So there's two ways that I tell my clients, because some people don't like to write things down, Jamie. I say write things down because then you can see it. When things are in your head, and I say this in my book, you can't make sense of things because you're not using any senses. So the more senses you use, the more things will make sense to you. Now, in my book, I also have something called dynamic watchfulness. Mindfulness is not significant. It's just not doing it anymore because we have virtual reality, and virtual reality, your brain doesn't know if it's real or not. So we need to have dynamic watchfulness, and that's having an accomplice. You're an accomplice, I'm an accomplice, a friend is an accomplice, someone else other than you to help you see the third side of the coin. So there you go. That's just some of the many things in Bempathy. Yeah.
And that's one of your books, The Third Side of the
Yeah.
Coin. And at first,
Yes.
everybody, like the first thought, I love it, gets everybody thinking, you're like, there's two sides. And you're like, no, there's not. Tell us
Right.
about that.
Yes. Well, I'm going to tell you about that. Matter of fact, I had a client, I used to do group counseling, and I had a client. I learned so much by the way in group counseling because I learned so much from people. That's also Bempathy. It's not all about Jill Payne, even though sometimes I'd like it to be, right? And so that person, we were talking about two sides of the coin, and I don't even remember who it was. And they said, there's a third side. And I said, you're right. And we looked, and that's the little side with the ridges that are so hard to see. And that's what our society needs to start focusing on. Whenever we see anything, let's sit back and think, what is another side? And it's really good for critical thinking, which is something that is also not doing as, I'm not going to say it's missing. It's just we're not doing it as much. We need to do it more. How's that?
Yeah, we could, that's
Yeah.
definitely a skill that we could utilize.
Yeah, we could do that more. Critical thinking. There we go. I
Yes.
want to be positive.
No, I love that because it is that it gets you to step back and say, there's possibility, crazy though
Yes.
it may be, that I might not be right about every single thing in the universe. Weird, right?
Except as we talked before when we're with our husband, right? Because
Obviously, in this case, yes,
we're right, right?
obviously, yeah.
Obviously. There we go.
Um,
Yeah.
and so with that negative, so can people have that, the perfectionism, they feel like they're right, but also this
Right.
negative self-talk, it can be
Right.
confusing.
Right.
One thing that I've heard you talk about
Mm.
is affirmations. And some
Yes.
people, they struggle with them, they get frustrated because there are
Yes.
some gurus that
Yeah.
say things like, I'm a billionaire and whatever. And if you're not, your
Right.
brain is just like, psh,
Right.
nonsense. So
Right.
how can we use them to grow, but not have our brain tell us this is complete nonsense?
So I'm with those people that say it's complete nonsense. So well, because if I say I'm beautiful and I don't feel it, then it's sort of it's a conundrum and it's contradicting my thought. So I tell people I'm in the process of becoming prettier. I'm in the process of beautifying my looks. I'm in the process of making more money. I'm in the process of having the best job ever. Aren't you in the process of? So that to me is a truth. And so I say it's just as easy to say I'm going to flunk that test as I'm going to pass it. Who knows? So I might as well focus on I'm going to pass it. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that so much that in the
Yeah.
process of.
In the process of, because we're in the process of doing a fabulous podcast. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then, yeah, it takes away that I'm like, I'm in the process of becoming a billionaire. I'm actually not, because that's not one of my goals. I
Right.
don't know that I
Yeah.
necessarily would want to do the things that would take.
Right.
But yeah, in the process of,
Right.
helping people, all the different things that we
Right.
aspire to do that we are doing, and that way we can
Right.
use those affirmations to strengthen us.
Right. And getting back to what you just said. So, a mindset of becoming a billionaire or a millionaire, we can think of it as a wonderful thing. I was just talking to somebody the other day. They were saying, "Oh no, I don't want." I said, "Well, if think about it, if you have that money like Bezos, you could help all those homeless people and educate society, get them to understand that they are able to do some work because most people when they're like that, they have what is called the helplessness theory, which you probably know about, learn to be helpless. And so we could use that money to help our society, not just give them money, use that money to educate people so that they can work. People want to do things so they feel significant. I don't want you to give me money. Well, maybe a little bit. I want to be able to work for it. Does that make sense?
Oh, hugely.
Yeah.
There's that
Right.
pride and validation,
Right.
even in just getting stuff done. Like, I've been weeding my yard, and so then you see the resulted.
Right.
Yes. So yeah, part of what I like to do, I certainly want to earn money, because money is a
There you
tool,
go.
and the more I have, the more I can help people.
Beautifully
It doesn't
put.
have to be used for evil. It can actually be used for good.
Isn't that wonderful? And you said just exactly that. That's what Bempathy does. It gives people tools to have a better life and make most situations win-win and have fun. I tell people life is hard. Why not make it fun? It's hard to wipe your butt. It's hard to, seriously, I have to get up and brush my teeth. That's work. Why not make it fun? We've made it fun. You gave me compliments. You had me on. And let people know we met through LinkedIn. I want people to know to use LinkedIn and other digital things also to get out there and empathize and have fun and meet people and help our society and help yourself in the long run. There you go.
Yes, and that's using the tools that we have for
Right.
positive and for gain. And we'll put all of the
Yes.
links in the show notes as well, so people can
Right.
find you easily,
Thank you.
because I think that's really important.
Thank
And
you.
again, for
Yes.
the Bempathy, a lot of our
Yes.
listeners are in a caregiving role. Many of us are in the
Oh,
sandwich generation with the kids and the parents.
yes.
So let's focus on our older adults that we love,
Right.
that maybe
Yes.
we're getting to that conversation where we have to take away the car keys
Right.
or those things, and they're frustrated because they want the independence and the dignity and the pride of still doing things.
Exactly.
And then the kids and everybody's, I have a teenage daughter, and everyone's like, oh, that's horrible. I'm like, she's a wonderful person. We have a great relationship. Maybe it's going to get worse. I don't know. But
No,
how
no,
can
it's
we?
good.
So now we're talking changing roles with our older adults, changing roles as
Right.
our kids grow up and they don't
Right.
need me the same. How, like, give us some ideas or examples that we can use to support us in these
Right.
sandwich times.
Okay, so let's go with our mindset again, because mindset is so important. If I'm in a room filled with cats and I hate cats, I'm going to act different than if I love cats. So the mindset right now is that I am still the daughter, and therefore and I'm in the same boat, by the way. I've been helping for 10 years now before my dad died, my mom. And so I need to remember, and sometimes I need to step back, Jamie, and remember this, that I am still the daughter. So I need to speak to my parents as though they are my parents. And when I am helping them, I don't bombard them. I let them know the pros and the cons, and I give them the power to make choices because that's very important. So, educating, just like we're educating the public right now, educate and then talk with, not at. That is a big thing. So, that's one big thing right there. I'm hoping that helped.
Yeah, and I think that would apply for our
Right.
teenagers as well. Nobody
Oh,
likes to be
yes.
talked at or told what to do. I mean, what are most toddlers, their first word is no, because you're telling them what to do, and they're like, I'm not doing that. Because people don't like it. I don't like being told what to do.
Of course not. Yes.
So
Yeah.
just staying in that empathy place, the stepping
Yes.
back,
Yes.
and how would this other person want to be
Exactly.
treated, be spoken
Right.
with, not
Yes.
act.
Right. Exactly. And think about keep focusing on a win-win. It doesn't mean in your mind they might not win. It's all about their mind if they win. And people think that's manipulation. It is not manipulation. To me, I want to empathize. My clients, I'm hoping when they come see me, Jamie, that they feel it's a win-win. I feel satisfied because I've helped them, and they feel satisfied because they've gotten to go from A to B. There's no difference in life than what I do in my office. There you go. That's empathy.
Yeah, and
Right.
those skills are so key. So
Right.
you've got the books. Let's talk about the books and projects because
Right.
there are people listening who are going to want to do
Yes.
like direct counseling with you. They're like, this is my person. I'm
Right.
going to find
Oh,
her. We're going to put all the ways to find you in the show notes. And for
oh,
those
yeah.
people that want maybe some more information and kind of want to dive into the resources, I know you've
Right.
got some on your website.
Yes.
So we're going to put that in the show notes as well. I love the colors
Thank
too.
you.
JillRobinPayne.com is the website. We'll put that in.
Thank you. It's very 70s.
I love it.
Yes. Thank you.
So let's talk about your books
Okay.
and any other things you've got coming out now.
Okay. Well, I want to say this before we hang up. I have characters. This was my first cover. This is no longer my covers. The reason I'm showing you is because I came up with characters because cartoon characters, believe it or not, we relate to easier. We don't feel that we conflict with them. We don't compete with them, right? And so I have Beacon, Brighton, and Bo. Bo was my dog. And Beacon and Brighton are fraternal twins. Beacon is a minute older. He is the leader and he is dressed up like a lighthouse. He enlightens, he's the beacon of light. He enlightens Brighton, his twin sister, and she has starry eyes. And so she is the follower. And then you have the dog, Bo, that's BOW, yes, helps tie everything together and is the compromiser. And those are the three personalities in our world. We don't have any other ones. If you're an instigator, you're a leader. And what I love about the characters is you have an analogy. Sometimes bosses don't realize they're really leaders. Leaders don't push, they guide, just like a lighthouse. So it sort of helps people to think about that. And my books are, I have three of them. They're all Bempathy. So if you look up Bempathy, that's empathy with a B, you can find all my books. The one that is recent is The Third Side of the Coin, Simplified Communication, looking at the third side of the coin. The one that is on audio, this is on audio, and this is how I found my second husband, y'all, and I've been with him for 13 years. And so, yes, because when people come to see me, one of my big things is relationships. I want everybody to have someone. And so this book tells you how to make friends and how to meet your partner. And so, is there anything else? Oh, my website.
Yeah,
Should I? Okay.
and that's good. I mean, these are all good skills. I know people who are listening to
Okay.
a podcast, we like to listen. So I'm a podcast girl, I'm an audiobook kind of girl. So
Yeah.
I love when they're in that platform. There's still nothing quite like holding a book, though. I have an absurd amount of books here in my office. But that way, so people can learn more, read more, connect with you more
Right.
on LinkedIn, find you on your website if they have any
Right.
questions. Jill, any last thoughts that you want to leave people with? I mean,
Yes.
there have been so many valuable things. I don't even know where to start.
Yes. I would like people to realize that no one is perfect and that life is hard. Let's make it fun and enjoy it. And remember that we're not the only ones, there's other people out there. And not everybody's a narcissist.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
a new
that
trend.
bothers me on the internet. Yes. No. I think we're becoming a little bit more egocentric, which you have children from 2 to 7. That means that we're having difficulty seeing the other side. And so that's because of the bubble that we're seeing. So just get off the internet for a little bit and go outside and take a walk.
I love it. That should be on billboards everywhere.
There you go. That
Uh,
easy.
Jill, Robin, Payne, thank you again. This has been just a delightful conversation. So many key points. We'll
Thank
put that
you.
in the show notes, all the different ways people can link with you. Thank you
Thank you.
again for spending your time
Thank
with
you.
us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Jamie.
Thank you for tuning into Navigating Hope with me, Dr. Jamie H.O.P.E. It has been an honor to navigate the realms of health and wellness with you today. Remember, in the journey toward a healthier life, knowledge is your compass. If you enjoyed our time together, please share, like, and subscribe to Navigating Hope. Join us next week where we'll continue to empower your health journey, arming you with the wisdom to navigate life's challenges and keep the emergency room in your rearview mirror.